Hello there, welcome to the Middlemen on Enterprise TV. It's a show where we discuss burning issues as they happen in our country, Nigeria. We're looking at pivotal forces shaping our society, where policies, powers, and people collide. From the shifting tides of governance and economic currents to the intricate web of justice and the backbone of our nation's progress, we dissect the unseen connections and unearth the nuances that define our collective experience. Join me to welcome our jurors. Our juror from the Rabbi will be presenting a case titled The Perils of Illegitimacy in Nigeria, a Senate confirmation of an unholy state of emergency, which criticizes the approval of state of emergency in Rivers State by the Senate. Juror JUMOKE James will be presenting a case titled Ray of Rights, which begs the need for freedom of speech and expression. Juror EMEKA will be presenting his case, which he tagged Lagos-Ibadan Expressway Wind Chase, Petrol and Other Stories, which is condemning the frequent road blockages on this route and the effect of fuel consumption. And I, Juror Innocent Adolugba, will be presenting a case exposing the animosity between Atiku and the president over Rivers State crisis. All this will be discussed after a quick break. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. My case. As Atiku blasts Tinubu for declaring state of emergency in Rivers State, the media is awash with comments and writings of former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, who has lambasted President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for declaring a state of emergency in Rivers State, following a lingering and unresolved political crisis that led to the bombings of pipeline infrastructure in Rivers State. Atiku said the development reeks of political manipulation and outright bad faith. The former vice president blamed the president for the crisis in Rivers, accusing him of being a partisan actor in the political turmoil engulfing Rivers. Atiku, who took to X to react to the development shortly after the president suspended Governor Siminalayi Fubara, his deputy, and members of the State House of Assembly in a nationwide broadcast on Tuesday, March 18, 2025, Tinubu said, "I feel greatly disturbed by the political crisis in Rivers. The state has been at a standstill and the people have been deprived of good governance. 14 months after Governor Fubara demolished the House of Assembly, it remains unbuilt. Many Nigerians have intervened, just as I did. But their efforts have been to no avail. And so no responsible president will stand by without taking action. To restore good governance and peace in this circumstance, it has become imperative to declare a state of emergency." Reacting, Atiku said it is disgraceful that President Tinubu refused to stop the crisis from escalating because Tinubu has been a vested partisan actor in the political turmoil. Said Atiku, his blatant refusal or calculated negligence in preventing this escalation is nothing short of disgraceful. The buck for the condemnable situation in Rivers State squarely stops on the president's desk. And Tinubu cannot evade responsibility for the chaos and unrest in the Niger Delta region, which his administration has either enabled or failed to prevent. Meanwhile, the South-South Governors Forum has expressed strong reservations over the federal government's declaration of a 6-month state of emergency in Rivers State, noting that the political situation does not warrant such drastic action. In a statement signed by the chairman of the South-South Governors Forum, former governor of Bayelsa State, Senator Duoye Diri, the governors acknowledged the president's constitutional duty to maintain law and order, but noted that the conditions outlined in Section 305, subsection 3 of the Nigerian Constitution for the declaration of a state of emergency had not been met. They say the current political situation in Rivers State does not satisfy the criteria for declaring a state of emergency as outlined in the Constitution. Such a declaration should be considered only under extreme conditions like war, external aggression, imminent invasion, or a breakdown of public order, existential threats to Nigeria, natural disasters, or significant public dangers, the statement read. The forum further argued that the removal of a governor, deputy governor, or member of assembly must follow constitutional procedures as stipulated in Section 188 and suggested that due process may not have been fully considered before the emergency declaration. My verdict: President Tinubu should see himself as the father of all politicians, irrespective of party divides. The political disputes in Rivers State between the governor and the House of Assembly, and by extension Minister Nyesom Wike of the Federal Capital Territory, ideally should be resolved through legal, political, and constitutional means, rather than by an executive fiat. So,
well, the situation in Rivers State is really disgraceful, to say the least. The Nigeria gained independence in 1960. Within 3 years, there was turmoil. There was turmoil that around that period, you know, and one of the outcomes was the jailing of Chief Obafemi Awolowo, you know, and a major politician in Nigeria, premier of the Western region. You know, he was displaced, the political power play, and the events continued to roll until 1966, January 15, when a young military officer, Major Cardinal Nzogu, led some other officers, you know, to overthrow the Tafawa Balewa government. From then on, we had a civil war, and thereafter, we have had serious ethnic, you know, cleavages, fissures. And then rolling down, that was how the First Republic died. We got to the Second Republic. We managed from 1979 up till 1983, Nigerian positions were again at each other's throats. Then, if you remember, the leader of the Nigeria Advanced Party at that time, Dr. Tunji Braithwaite, paid a visit to then President Shehu Shagari at Dodan Barracks in Lagos and warned him that a coup was imminent. But Shagari just dismissed it. And within a few days, he was overthrown. That was how the Second Republic died. The Third Republic, anyway, it was a magical show by Babangida. You know, just lasted for just 20 months. And then everything died when June 12 was annulled. Then, after a long period of, you know, so much bloodletting and fighting, the Fourth Republic was born, May 29, 1999. Now, the longest spell of democratic governance is what we have enjoyed under the Fourth Republic. Over 26 years now, by May 29, 26 years. You know, but as at February, you know, as at last month, you know, because the election, the first election was held in February 1999. So we've crossed 26 years, you know, of democratic governance. Yes, of the electoral process. Now, Nigerian politicians are again at each other's throats. When will our politicians learn to pursue interests rather than each other? Like in a football match, you don't need to kick your opponent's legs. You use, you know, stylish dribbling and, you know, mastery of the football, you know, to get the better of the opposing team. But in Nigeria, politicians kick the leg, they kick the head, they kick the torso, they kick every part of the body of their, you know, of their opponent.
As if there are no rules.
Yes, and so which is what has brought us to this sorry pass. But it's strange that President Bola Tinubu and his Attorney General have pretended as if the only aggressor was Siminalayi, the governor, Siminalayi Fubara. And it was really strange that the Attorney General was saying that Fubara, you know, he alleged that Fubara,
Teleguided.
Teleguided the militants. I think Fubara should sue him. Just for the records, he should take him to court, to explain, and, should give him time to retract that statement, or else sue him. I think Fubara himself, too, has made some missteps through his, unnecessarily docile.
So he was
nature.
passive.
Yes, because he didn't force himself on.
I think they introduced that twist. They introduced that twist deliberately to deflect a issue. Yeah, because what they did there is just because he said when the time comes, we leave, front and all that. Said, I'm disappointed at the Attorney General of the Federation. First, defending the indefensible. And secondly, for making that utterance, twisting what Fubara said, just to use it to fulfill this act of impropriety that the president has laid down before the Nigerian state. And I find it rather very disconcerting that we will be taking such cheap expression this far and be using it to justify a state of emergency. This is quite very wrong, to say the least.
The injustice and illegality in Rivers State, because it's an illegality, there's nowhere in the Constitution that a sitting elected president can remove a sitting governor elected like him, elected members of any state house of assembly, and then the way the National Assembly went ahead, to do a voice vote. I mean, if the Constitution says 2/3 majority, which means 240 individuals of the National Assembly.
Already in my case.
Yeah. Both the chamber, the into is that they line of thought.
Sorry.
Say that it was deliberate. It was the president and his minister. He could easily have sacked the minister. His cabinet, was it last year, removed 5 ministers, replaced them with 7. He could easily have sacked the minister, but because Wike is doing his bidding, Wike gave him Port Harcourt. All evidences, at Rivers State during the presidential elections in 2024, Wike to the APC candidate sort of like him. Seeing Fubara, he was very unwilling to take up the charge when Wike as his body stay there, ensure that you and not do, but Wike said, no, you can do this, and put him there. Unfortunately, the people from Fubara, put him in this trouble with his predecessor by saying, no, you can do this. How can your former governor be one signing check for you and appointing contracts, and your own is just to be there like a boy? Anyway, when too early, the grass will suffer. Justice and illegality in Rivers State was well orchestrated. The National Assembly should not have used a voice vote to, stamp this illegality. The president knew what was due. The minister as his cohort, they had president, all of them are in cahoots, pretty much so. Unfortunately for the Nigerian citizen, democracy, like I always say, is not working for us. It's working for the political elite. They do what they want. They gave us the constitution. They choose when to obey the constitution. It's totally unconstitutional.
Okay. So much of hitches there on the internet. We apologize for that. The case will be further trashed. I think there's a sequel to it on Evans Ufeli's case, so we will not dwell much of that. We will rather go on a quick break, and when we return, JUMOKE Alaude James will be presenting her case titled Ray of Rights. Do stay with us. We'll join you again.
And you're still welcome to the Middlemen. The jurors are still in here today. My case is Ray of Rights. I was highly disappointed when one of my lecturers shared the video of Rai, the core member who complained that the president is terrible at his job, where she was at an outing in an expensive restaurant in Lagos asking if she's really suffering or just a disgruntled OS. And so insinuating that she's an escort. You know, in Nigeria, when you can't beat a woman, just shout Ashewo from the rooftop. Show me a woman that hasn't been so called. It will be a woman that has never stood up against anyone. The back rider on the road will call you Ashewo if you question him too much. Anyway, this gentleman, my lecturer, did it on his Facebook page. He has his rights to be a nuisance, so I wasn't going to respond. But it was also very necessary to let him and people like him know their folly. Don't be the one defending bad governance because you make money from politics. Life happens to the best of us. Money will not save you in an emergency when the infrastructure needed is not available. And Ashiwaji of Igboland on X, known for bigotry and gaslighting people who complain about this government, had an emergency with his son recently. He was distraught, crying out for help. He got no help. Ordinarily, where systems work, you don't even need to shout for help. The hospital he was in didn't have the machine to help his son. He got arrested for attacking one of the nurses, probably out of frustration. His wife was begging the police not to harass him while their son was dying. His son died, and he got no sympathy. May God rest the souls of our faithful departed. Life happens to the best of us, like I said. May Nigeria not happen to you. Imagine if Rai had gotten a call from a government agency apologizing to her about her experience as a first-timer in Lagos, telling her what the government is doing about the stench, offer her a meal, while joking that they can't afford the 65,000 naira meals she's used to in expensive restaurants in Lagos, but offer her support anytime she feels overwhelmed and say she can always call their hotline. The story would have ended differently. Rara, some overzealous NYSC official chose to threaten her to put down her post, asked her to shut up because, in her words, you're not talking to your mates. This oppressive respect thing would be the undoing of a lot of people. Respect is earned. It's reciprocate when you give it. That you were born before someone doesn't mean you can command them around and shut them up. No, ma'am, children also deserve respect. Government supporters, including those from far-flung states, keep defending bad governance. They left the issues to abuse the person, defaming her and bullying her. Doesn't Lagos smell? I can't leave my windows open overnight. The stench from Olushosun dumpster will choke me at 4 a.m. Isn't inflation overwhelming the best of us? I loved retail therapy. Remove the therapy from it now. I only go shopping for the absolute necessities these days. Rather than focus on how to address those, it's to attack the person who said it. My verdict. Like the juror from Rabbi said in his own Facebook post that I just copied and quoted to this lecturer's comment section, which was obviously a response to posts from individuals like my lecturer. Some people are not meant to comment on critical issues. They lack the wherewithal, intelligence, and integrity. They will still talk, yes, I know, but we should always push back. A citizen must never be afraid to speak their truth at all times. Agree or disagree with their opinion, but you cannot be allowed to bully them by calling them defamatory names. Go and serve your masters. Allow us our rights to freedom of life, expression, and positive citizenship. I mean, it's positive citizenship to be able to confront your government and hold them accountable and demand good governance from them.
Okay. Well, there was one presidential aide, who had over the years been known for, formulating outlandish economic policy. In fact, not just then there was that one called the girl, he slut shamed her. You know, I hit back at him on X that, you know, no wonder he had been pushing outlandish economic policies. And now he had got into government, we're no more hearing anything because he's eating and his throat is choked. Then the other one, you know, working with the president, you know, this was a boy I knew, you know, when he came to do his internship. The newspaper where I worked, but he now joined the PR world, you know, of course, started counting some good money and became so haughty, you know. Well, for me, I don't care. You can be whatever you are. That's in your pocket. And so joined the president, and he has been known for such nasty language. But I always give it to him because he knows I'm a senior. And of course, responding to me will open a floodgate that will drown you, you know, in the deluge of words. So the other one, you know, said that what he did is deserving of capital punishment. When people pushed back, he started denying it. And even started again by saying, calling the mob. I now went on X and told him, you are very, very foolish. A young man like you, that take note, both of you should take note. Life doesn't begin and end in government. One day you'll be out of that position. The positions you occupy, you'll be out of them. And then you will know how unforgiving human situations can be. When you think, you know, you are enjoying, you are having the best of times, and then you begin to look down on others. Remember, there is a day will come when you will not be in government.
Very true.
Then look at the fellows in Lagos State government who said that is people who are not from Lagos who make the environment stink. And I can understand the helplessness of such people because they are not even sure. Each day, you know, that dawns, they are not sure whether their boss, the governor of Lagos State, will not be thrown out.
You will sack them.
Yes, whether it will not be sacked by Baba Sokwe Crazy. You know, because if we remember last week, when Baba Sokwe Crazy, you know, actually got the lawmakers of the House of Assembly summoned to Abuja, you know, and the president was quoted as having asked the lawmaker, told the lawmakers that he suspected that it was the governor who was behind it, that he was not comfortable that the governor had come to have such powers to instigate the removal of the speaker. And of course, that statement, you know, is heavy. I understand that the House of Assembly is still not at peace. So I pity all those ones because they don't really have jobs per se. You know, so when they talk like that, I know
it's not our
no,
it's not our business.
No, you should get the irony in what I'm saying. They don't really have jobs. So that depressing feeling that they could be kicked out of, you know, livelihood, you know, can actually make them talk unreasonably. But that is their business because whether they like it or not, they are going to be out of those those jobs anytime.
My opinion is when somebody makes that kind of comment, and let me go this route, the government jumps on it. It smacks of a government without programs, plans, and agenda. That was on a Monday. Was that all of the government's backlash from Sunday? What they planned for this week? You abandoned somebody's comments. It could easily have been ignored, I would say, and then go and look at the Etiosa area and see what the Commissioner for Environment or the local government, what is their extent of environmental sanitation. Let's be blunt. I'm not a Yoruba indigenous, let alone an Omonile, but the Lagos State Ministry of Environment are doing very commendable jobs. Perhaps they have not attained perfection. Perfection is a process. If this kind of comment is made, look at the facts on ground and just improve to do more.
That's all.
It does not warrant filth and hygiene has no ethnic group. So I wonder if a normal person can point at somebody as the one who dirties a place because they traveled in here, and point at others that because they've been here before, they are the ones who. What they should do is, as regards
how many of them are even from Lagos State?
the trucks they used to clear debris. Sometimes when they leave, let me say, my streets, it's dirtier than before they came. They believe that once they bring their truck, they don't sweep after themselves. And when they pour whatever in the truck, whatever drops by the wayside is for the people living there to come and clean after them. That kind of orientation is needed. You go about with whatever it is to clean. Because that truck, even the truck, moving around work time, school hour, 8:30 a.m., carries smell in its trail, you know. So if someone makes that kind of comment.
You're innocent. As environmental chair for my residential estate, it was my duty to approach them, and I accused them that whenever you come to pack our waste, you leave our estate dirtier than you met it.
Oh,
the filth from your truck, by the time they compress the waste, the liquid that comes out of that, they leave it, and it is stench. It will be there till the very next day. You have to wash the front of your house after. I bought brooms and packers for them and said, no, you must sweep after yourself. I insisted on it. And I said to the gatesmen at my estate gate, if they don't sweep, don't let them out of the estate. While driving in today, rushing from all the madness at Otedola, I saw they had come to pack waste again. They had left their debris on the road. But I was in such a hurry that I couldn't stop and say, I hope that you are going to sweep after yourself. You know, that's just an agreement with you. But I wanted to quickly focus on what the Commissioner of Environment, Tokunbo Wahab, did. Not only was the video that he posted saying that it was it 18th of March, that video is 2 years old. He wanted to deflect that Naye, who comes from Akwa Ibom, is people like her, you know, that come to dump waste. He was showing a video of an obviously Igbo woman dumping waste. People responded to him that, one, the video is old, so this your conspiracy will not work. Secondly, Lagos, because of the metropolitan nature of the state, you have abandoned all the headquarters of all the, I mean, it used to be the formal capital of Nigeria. It's still the commercial capital of the country. People will flock in. The way London and New York is for you to just address the issues, right? And say, we're working on it. We're trying to attain perfection, like you have said, Juro, rather than deflecting and trying to start an ethnic, you know, I mean, the ethnic connotation of what he did was so wrong. Thirdly, people now started showing him videos of Yoruba men defecating on the streets. Now, okay, you are going to bring 2-year-old video of an Igbo woman. Okay, what of this your brother is defecating on the street? You know, a commissioner should not be the one doing that. Let your minions and your supporters, you know, they will always have supporters, people who are eating crumbs from under their table, who will support regardless of how wrong all of us think what they're doing is. They'll always have supporters. Let your minions be the ones going that low. A commissioner should be higher than that. Again, it questions the caliber of the people we have in government. From presidency to local government, what's the caliber for our leaders? The worst of us keep on leading the best of us. It's unfortunate.
Anyway, thank you. I'm sure that's an eye-opener. Sanitation does not have an ethnic group. It's what I believe in. And then we look for the best. Let the copper girl be made comfortable. She's on a national assignment and it's a voluntary thing. Okay, we've exhausted that topic and we'll be going on a break now. Thank you for the ray of rights, JUMOKE. You can wrap up with the next person coming in there.
Okay, so right after this short break, Juro Evans Tufeli will be coming in with this case and is going to be addressing the National Assembly and their voice votes confirmation for the state of emergency in Rivers State. Do not go anywhere. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to Middlemen of Juros. My case, the Senate's confirmation of an unholy state of emergency. The confirmation of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's state of emergency by the Nigerian Senate has raised critical concern regarding the integrity and legality of our governance structure. The manner in which the decision was made, primarily through a voice vote, seriously undermines the constitutional principle that guide our democracy. The Constitution explicitly requires that significant action, such as a declaration of a state of emergency, but it demands higher standard of approval, namely individual counting of votes that reflects the true position of each lawmaker. A voice vote where lawmakers simply say yea and nay is an inherently flawed method of decision making for matters of such immense national impact. It opens the door to manipulation and misrepresentation. Reports indicate that through a majority of lawmakers reportedly oppose the state of emergency. A troubling intervention by Senate President Godswill Akpabio seemingly shifted the outcome in favor of the yeas. This raises alarm bell. What kind of governance allows for such blatant disregard of due process? It reflects a concerning trend in Nigeria's political landscape, where the rules can be bent or broken to achieve the desired ends. The ramification of this political maneuver extends far beyond single votes. Approving a state of emergency through unconstitutional means sets a dangerous precedent, embodying those in power to act without accountability and transparency. The Senate action betrays the trust of the Nigerian people and signals an alarming distance from the democratic ideals that Nigeria has long strived to uphold. It is moments like these that challenge the very foundation of democracy and governance in our nation. In light of this development, it is understandable that many have expressed a sense of desperation and frustration. Calls for violent revolution capture a sentiment that has been building among citizens who feel their democratic rights have been usurped. While the allure of revolution may be compelling, it is essential to approach these sentiments with caution. Violence only begets more violence and can lead to chaos that further destabilizes the country. Moreover, such action risks the potential to alienate the very populace that desire change. Instead, what we need is an unwavering commitment to peaceful and constitutional means of resistance. Citizens should channel their frustration into organized, non-violent movement that can hold lawmakers accountable. Civil society, traditional leaders, and youth groups can serve as catalysts for meaningful change by advocating for the true representation and transparency in governance. Protests, public awareness campaign, and call for accountability can accrue the pressure necessary to reestablish the rule of law and demand respect for constitutional mandate. My verdict: the Nigerian populace must engage actively with their representatives. Constituents must hold lawmakers responsible for their actions and demand the integrity of their mandate, which is required. Legitimate movement can arise from collective action, bolstered by the informed populace that understand its rights and is unafraid to uphold them. In conclusion, the recent action of the Senate or the National Assembly in confirming the state of emergency under dubious circumstances should serve as a wake-up call for all Nigerians. It is a moment to galvanize our efforts, not through violence, but through peaceful resistance, advocacy, and a recommitment to the principles of democracy. The path to change may be fraught with challenges, but it is a journey worth undertaking for the sake of Nigerians' future. Together, we can reclaim our democracy and ensure that it remains a representative of the people's will, free from grip of those who seek to subvert same. I shall go to Rabbi again.
Okay, that's a big one, like a sequel to my case. It says, the Constitution says 2/3 majority. Today,
all members.
At the House of Reps sat with 243, reported by the Vanguard newspaper, instead of 369. Now, I don't know the metrics for determining 2/3 majority via voice vote. I don't know who will move the revolution, the innovation for the Senate and House of Rep in the National Assembly and all state houses of assembly to commence digital voting, especially in such a sensitive. I'm yet, since 1999, I don't know of my other jurors if we have seen digital voting in any legislative process in Nigeria. And this is have you?
No, that's Saraki. There was now. People voted.
There was under Saraki.
Yes, under the constitutional amendment.
But because Senate President Akpabio, in my opinion, no.
Did they vote that under Lawan? The throughout Buhari was throughout Lawan, Farouk Lawan. Did they use?
There was only during Saraki's time when they were to amend the constitution, where some of those items pass, affirmative action, and what do you call that one now? The other one didn't pass, where you have to.
Do you remember that? You remember that under Lawan, we used to even know who voted for what, because they were also using digital voting system.
Yes.
You could say my senator in Ikeja. What's that former deputy governor of Lagos State's name now? She's the new senator representing. It used to be Yayi, representing Lagos West. Ade something. That's Alaja. You could say, she voted for Ade Buleto, we bless you. You could, because we saw who voted what via digital. You will see their screen. You will know that this senator voted yes, that senator voted no. So during the 8th and 9th assemblies, we used to go and attack them. Hey, so who sent you to go and vote for it? But now, because this Senate president, look, when he was inaugurated and he wore a cap with the insignia of the current president on it, we already knew that he was going to be a rubber stamp Senate president. You saw how he suspended Senator Natasha Akpoti-Uduaghan.
Yes.
When he called for it the first time, there was no yay or I.
But he went against them.
He said the senators did not hear, because I'm sure I was disappointed as my brothers, you people are not supporting me. He said it the second time. I think I hear 50-50. Okay, let me give it 60-40. I said because he wanted them, he was pushing for what he wanted. Yes. The same thing with this using voice vote. How do you count voice votes?
So can we?
People say that they didn't.
First of all, they were not even complete because the law did not say that.
Exactly.
To take majority of members present. The law did not say to take majority of members present.
Barrister Ofeli, with this voice now from the legal aspect, can we say 2/3 majority was achieved?
No. The state of emergency had failed already. It's supposed to fail based on the fact, it was the first thing on the list this morning, the first order on the list.
Yes.
Senator Bamidele now stood up and said that because the members, I think there were about 70 something in the House, in the upper chambers. So he now said they should stand it down to allow for more members to come before they stood it down and took other issues before they came back to it. And when they came back to it, they were still not complete. And they went ahead and said they have rectified it. That's illegality.
Yes.
Very much illegal.
So well,
you couldn't have just rectified it like that without the right using voice vote to do that. Even the House of Reps did the same thing. Okay, so I don't think we have any government in this country.
Yeah, I think it's a criminal legislature.
Well,
the point is that it is.
I'll promise them one thing. You see, when you begin to toy with the law is an unforgiving entity. That's one thing people don't realize. When you begin to toy with the law will definitely catch up with you. It's just a matter of time. Because when you begin to adjust and adjust and adjust and adjust, you will make one fatal mistake that will upend everything you've been doing. Yes, it's just a matter of time. When PDP was supposed to do something about defection, they had the opportunity under David Mark. They were supposed to take a definite step on defection, but they refused to. They refused to amend the Electoral Act. Even for them to amend the Electoral Act that year, 2006, it was a big controversy. Gali Umar Naraba versus President Obasanjo. Umar Naraba was the Speaker of the House of Reps. It was a controversy. It took so much time before the Electoral Act could be signed. They had the opportunity. They had the opportunity when David Mark was the President of the Senate, and they did nothing about it. Now, okay, Saraki became Senate President and actually made some fundamental recommendations, for review. Buhari refused to sign it. Now, today, there's a rumor that Buhari and his acolytes are thinking of defecting to SDP. You see, Nigerian politicians...
What political value what political capital does Buhari have?
That's what I'm saying. So, the thing is, these people continue to overrate themselves, thinking that anybody cares about them. When they're in office, they get carried away by the long convoys and all the paraphernalia of office. But when they're out of office...
EMEKA, if he was talking and we didn't respond to him, he would not be relevant. We're the ones giving them...
No, we as a media, we have to report them. We have to report their activities. It doesn't matter. It's left for the reader. It's left for the viewer. It's left for the listener to now make up their minds and decide whether they want to give them, any notice or not. So I think the fact of the matter is that the APC has gone rogue, and it has gone to the extent that it will get to a point where, it has got to a point where unshockability is now setting in for Nigeria, just like Abacha's time. And I pity them because they will run themselves into, I heard that a court or so, rule declared that the sole administrator cannot resume. I hope that the PDP will, challenge this in the Supreme Court. The PDP Governors Forum will challenge it in the Supreme Court. So that let the Supreme Court come and reverse itself. Let it keep, reversing itself, winding itself until one day there won't be any rope remaining to tie itself.
And presently we have 36 states civilian elected governors. Has reduced. We now have 35 elected governors and one, so to say, military administrator, whatever name he goes by. And for the first time, that anomaly has taken place under this government.
The PDP, now this is a PDP governor. The PDP had the opportunity to have put an end to this, to prevent this. But Nigerian politicians are so naive.
I know, they deal with the moment.
No, they are so naive because you know what? They don't think ahead. They always believe that, like the PDP former national chairman, Vincent Ogbulafo,
they are going to rule for 60 years.
That they rule for 60 years. They deceive themselves. And the worst case scenario is, oh, at the worst, I'll defect on that party.
Maybe this party may be thinking so without announcing.
That's what, no, was it not one of their chieftains that said they'll be in power for 100 years?
Well, that's an improvement on
60 years.
Okay. So, Juro Ufeli, over your case.
So, well, what I believe is that this matter has to be challenged. It should not be allowed to go. They should not be allowed to get away with it.
Well, this case is still unfolding. We'll keep a tab at it. When we return, the EMEKA Manago will be presenting a case titled the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, witches, Petrol, and other stories. Stay tuned and don't go anywhere.
You're welcome back. My case, Lagos-Ibadan Expressway winches, Petrol, and other stories. Once again, the winches of Lagos-Ibadan Expressway have struck. They struck again on Thursday morning as users of the busiest road in West Africa were waking up. The Muslims among them were trying to Ganusi before the day's fast. If you are a Lagosian, you understand what Ganusi means. That is, they were trying to break the fast before the fast. As they were getting ready for the day, news came that the winches had struck again. For those of us who have been used to commuting on this road for over 30 years, almost on a daily basis, such news is no longer new. Once it's Kara and Otedola, we just start planning how to trek, or we just cancel the day's appointments like I did last week, Tuesday. On that Tuesday, it was trucks that fell at different points of the expressway at Kara and Otedola, blocked the road on both sides. And then they capped it in the night around 8:30 p.m. when a gas truck exploded and, said to have killed about 6 to 10 people. It seems the road needs either spiritual deliverance or redesign. I don't know which one is which. One content creator said that there are some demons hiding inside the canal under the Otedola Bridge. Well, maybe our GOs will need to go and do some spiritual investigation, or better still, just ban the trucks. Yes, banish them to another road. Don't ask me which one, I don't know. But I'm sorry, maybe banish them to Lagos-Calabar Highway. Meanwhile, Oga Dangote has subtly told us to brace up for another fuel price hike since NNPCL has refused to continue selling petrol to him in Naira. I bet that EFCC didn't hear that. Speaking of which is that Nigeria is a theater of plenty issues. As you're dealing with one, more just pop up. My verdict. Should I just jackpot from this country? Imagine having to buy Dangote petrol at dollar rate of 1,005 and burning it in traffic caused by trucks. No be juju be that. Just on Wednesday, a CNG tanker emptied its contents on hapless road users in an Abuja suburb. Which way, Nigeria?
Oh, well,
okay, EMEKA.
I think JUMOKE can tell us she was live on the scene.
On the scene?
On the scene, no. Yeah. 2 hours, I had to start begging Oga EMEKA. I don't see this sausage road, the popular one.
You could not Ganusi.
You are an eyewitness.
Reporting live at the scene, actually. Number one, there are many accidents that have happened at that Otedola Bridge. And the gas tanker explosion was the very most recent. There's a burnt house right by the bridge. From that, if they say that we need deliverance, spiritual deliverance, I do not disagree. But what I think is, based on the topography of that area, there's a canal right under the Otedola Bridge. So the bridge itself, rather than being very high, you'd have needed, pillars as high as those of the 3rd Mainland Bridge to hold it up, slopes down. Now, those of us coming from Magodo or Alausa can pass under the the bridge to connect to wherever it is that you're going, that slope, right, from underneath, you see that the bridge itself isn't so high. But if you're coming from either Ibadan end or you're coming from Ojota end, the bridge slows down at Otedola. What happens most times is these trucks, they are heavy. At the point when they slow, to come back up becomes difficult. Normally you see the truck boys come down, they're throwing stones or sticks to ensure that the vehicles do not roll back. If they roll back, or they have a brake failure or whatever, like what happened, this week that I witnessed, it was a containerized truck that had brake failure, fell down 80% across the road. And while they were trying to remove it, there was no movement. People started trekking, on the bridge. When that happens, if they're carrying full capacity of fuel or gas or diesel, they're very flammable. They can explode, which is what happened last week, and lives were lost, unfortunately. The one I witnessed also, I heard that 2 lives were lost. It's so unfortunate. For the winches, as EMEKA put it, to be removed, it will mean that we have to construct a new bridge that is higher, or, like he also suggested, banish the trucks from there. Only empty trucks should pass there. If those ones roll and they're not carrying any fuel, they cannot explode. But I know, even my SUV, when it goes down that slope, to come up, I see, if the car is not well serviced, you see that it's jerking, it becomes difficult for you to speed. So, aside from spiritual problems.
2 things I think that the solution to that particular bridge is that, first, that bridge ought not to start from Otedola. That bridge ought to start from Bega. Okay? From then you get, they should erect high pillars, as you said, and let it pick up from Bega and keep straight. So that by the time it gets to Otedola, there's no slope, there's nothing. It just aligns with that topography. Because that Otedola area is the highest topography in Lagos. It's the highest point. There is no flood that gets near there. It's the highest place in Lagos. Okay, so if you know you have that kind of, I don't know where that road was constructed in 1973. Okay, every other thing you see that's going on there is just amend patch. 1973, that one was constructed. At that time, how many trucks were rolling on that road, and how were the capacity of those trucks, and what was our population at that time? Okay, so now the population have exploded. Even the population of Lagos then was not anything to write home about compared to what it is today. So there must be a reconstruction. That bridge, in fact, that bridge should just be a continuation of the Kara Bridge. Not even Bega. Let's just pick it from Kara and level it up like that, straight to until you get to maybe 7 up or thereabouts. You can do something like that. Alternatively, there should be other routes into Lagos State from that axis. That road alone, it cannot serve the purpose. I mean, a road that's the busiest in the whole of West Africa. We should have an alternative road. We know that the Shagamu-Ekpe road has not been completed. Okay, so truck even find it difficult to fly through that one. Trucks. So if that one is properly done, some of these trucks can come in through that axis. Then the Abeokuta own the entrance into Lagos from Abeokuta. That road also need to be. That's the Ota road. That one.
Pakpalanto Road.
That one, trailer don't even apply it again because it's impassable.
It's bad news.
You understand? So now all of them are now using the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. So you are going to have this kind of issues.
Juro Evans, I went to pass that Shango Ota Road. I was going to a church in Ota one Sunday, right? Just to go and make U-turn under the bridge. He buried. I didn't know. I never needed to go there.
No, you can't go there.
My car was buried inside water.
You can't go there.
Songo.
Yeah, that the trucks that normally come in.
To go and pass there.
The trucks that normally coming from there, they no longer pass there. All of them are using this one. And the quick one is also
JUMOKE also joked that the trucks, we should not ask him which road they should go and pass, because there's no alternative, to be honest with you. That they should go and pass the Lagos-Calabar.
No, Lagos-Calabar.
Lagos-Calabar.
At least, no.
It's yet to be constructed.
No, who said, please. That is
Lagos-Calabar has not been commissioned.
Did you hear him now?
Sorry, sir.
Has not been constructed, let alone commissioned.
No, it's under construction. Please, let us... let's support the government of the day. It's under construction.
Anyway,
it has got up to where? You told me now.
I don't know.
Is it Ekpe or what?
Please, I'm using this period to appeal to the.
What is the economic value of that road in the first place? What is in Calabar that?
Anyway, let me land on my point. My point is
Innocent has some.
My point is at Shagamu interchange.
Yes.
They should seriously look at that Pakpalanto road. Seriously. Because by the time the churches open up for prayers, we're approaching Easter. By the time Good Fridays and co pop up, including truck, human and traffic, it will be worse.
But Dangote...
And the rains are here.
I understand that Dangote has been giving that road to...
Well, how long?
Oh, EMEKA?
Yes. I understand Dangote is working on the road. It was...
EMEKA?
Yeah.
Once you mentioned Dangote working on the road, I remember you also complaining about Dangote and NMPC.
Thank you very much. Dollar Petrol. The coming of Dollar Petrol.
The taxation of the Naira for crude scheme that allowed Dangote to buy crude oil in Naira and sell petroleum products to us in Naira. When I saw that news, my heart was broken for three things. I'll mention them quickly. One, the cabal has won. When I bought fuel last week, it was 7,000 Naira cheaper to fill my fuel tank because I was buying Dangote fuel that the price had reduced. Thirdly, the quality of Dangote petrol, since last week, it has only moved a quarter from full tank. So I still have 3/4 tank full.
How do you know you're buying Dangote petrol? How do you know it's Dangote petrol you're buying?
Because I go to the filling stations that sell Dangote. I will not mention them here because they have not paid me to advertise them. I'm not the ambassador. I will tell you that behind closed doors or in camera. But anyway, the quality of Dangote petrol, because it is refined crude oil into petrol, unlike the one that they are blending. You understand chemical mixture of blending?
Yeah.
What they do is mix crude oil with methane or some chemicals to get petroleum. I mean, I did chemistry. I was a full science student in secondary school, so I know there are some products that you only get from mixing other chemicals. That's what they were doing. So their petrol, even though imported at higher rates, was also highly flammable. Before you go from here to Island and come back, your petrol tank is empty. So when I heard that they were no longer doing the Naira for crude game, I was very sad. You know, I'm the first person to advise people on X, generally Nigerians. Take time away from Nigerian news. Be careful for your mental health, you know, because these things just break you down. Now, Dangote is saying he's no longer selling petroleum products in Nigeria because of that scheme that has been cancelled. The cabal has won. It breaks my heart. It is sad. And then he questions this government. What is it exactly that they are doing for us? What is the government doing for us?
They are declaring state of emergency.
Well, we wait and see. While we also commiserate with the families that lost their loved ones in Abuja, in the explosion in Abuja yesterday, you know. Well, that's all we can take on the Middlemen today. We'd love for you to join the conversation, express yourselves on matters arising as they concern you and I. Like, share, and engage on all our content at Enterprise TV 7. Also, do well to visit our website at www.enterprisetvnews.com. Till we see you again next time. Bye.